Welcome to ARVN Plays. In this episode, we'll be continuing our Fire in the Lake playthrough with me as the US player. So far, we've gone through 2 cards of a 74 card deck, and I've used up 2 videos to show that. So if needs be, yeah, it could take quite a bit of time to go through this entire game, but I want to make sure that I cover as much as possible in both the core rules and the Tru'ng expansion, covering it so, you guys can actually play it, the actual core game without the solo bots or using the Tru'ng expansion itself. So moving on, in last turn, we now have these 2. So the NBA, the VC are inactive or ineligible, with myself and the ARVN as eligible. So we're now looking at psychedelic cookies. I have a first option on this card, so let's see what the event gives me. US moves up to 3 US troops from out of play. Well, 3 went into out of play from last night, so that could be useful. 2 available, or South Vietnam, or from the map to available. So, okay, so it allows me to shift things around a bit. Bringing those 3 troops out of play into South Vietnam, because normally I can't do that until a coup, could be very useful. US takes 3 of its troops from the map out of play. Okay, if the other, well, there's no BC, and I can't see the ARVN doing that, but you never know. What's the next card coming? It's VC. There's no way I can stop that being VC. So it's because they're going to be eligible, and even if I'm still eligible, as in by pass, I can't stop them playing because they've got the first options on it. So that could be rather nasty. Anyway, I think I'm going to take the event on this. US moves up to 3 US troops from out of play, 2 available, or South Vietnam. Okay, so I'll move that down to the event. And those 3 that were removed now come to South Vietnam. And it doesn't specify any restrictions. So I could place them anywhere. Right. Well, I want to get these areas in the Mekong Delta to love me. Those 2, and I think I should garrison that base in Saigon. So there we go. That's me done. So end faction play. And we move on to the ARVN. So let me bring up the chart for them. Let's see what they do. Right, so the NP non-player eligibility table. Okay. The first option on here, pivotal, we can't, there's no way we can play any pivotals at the present moment because of to play any of the pivotal cards, there must be 2 leaders in the ARVN leader box, as in there must have been 2 coups to have passed already, and we're nowhere near that, so I'm not even looking at this one here. So they're not first eligible because I was first eligible, so they're second eligible. So active faction will be first eligible in upcoming critical event. They're not the first, so that one's not applicable. First eligible chose OP and SA. I didn't, I chose event, and event is performance, so they can't choose the event because I've chosen it. Will be first eligible on upcoming card. No. First eligible chose OP only, or first eligible chose OP and SA. I didn't choose OP and SA, I chose event, didn't I? So that's not applies. So otherwise, they choose OP and special activity. We will now mark that. As such, they didn't pass. That was effectively what I was seeing to see if they choose pass, which they didn't. So yeah, we finished with that card there. So what op and special activity will they choose? From this table here, I draw a card from those 18 cards I mentioned. So keep going through the card deck till I get my first one, which is ARVN H. So let's bring up the card. ARVN H. Okay, so the reverse side of these cards, this would be ARVN HH. So I know that that is the reverse side. This is the front face here. So going through, I always start at the top blue box. So 5 plus ARVN troops plus rangers in any one space. Okay, so we can have a look on the board and see if that's true. ARVN troops plus rangers, so not police. So nothing on the south side of the map there. The answer to that question is no, there are not. ARVN troops are the yellow cubes, and rangers are the yellow hexagonals. And no, there's no space with 5 plus troops or rangers. So we get to the cross there. That symbol tells me I need to draw another card. So I keep going through. Okay, so we now go to card G. That must be that one. Okay. So again, start in the first block. 3d6 equal to less than available ARVN pieces. Right. So ARVN pieces, we've got quite a few in there. So let's roll those 3d6. 1, 2, blimey, 3 ones in a row. Okay. Is that number equal to or less than the available ARVN pieces? Yes. I'll follow that box down. All right. ARVN assault would add coin control or unblock the line of communications route between Canthal and Hoi. Okay, ARVN assault would add coin control. Is there any places where ARVN can assault? You can only assault if you can see. So down here, for example, this is a inactive guerrilla. So he's somewhere in that province. We don't know where. If he was active, then we could assault him. So there's no place. We've got no troops here because you can only assault if you're already in the province. Is there any space? It doesn't look like it. So looking at that, ARVN assault would add coin control? No. Or unblock the line of communication route between Canthal and Hoi. Well, that none of the VC or NVA have gone on any line of communication route, so it doesn't need to be, it's not, or unblock. Don't need to unblock it because it's not blocked. So that means that card is not true. We go down to this one here. That tells me to flip over the card. Right, let's have a look. Okay, so flipping over the card. We look at card now, GG, telling me to train. Place all available, right? And notice this word's in bold. That tells me to look at a particular spaces table, place under the priority of rangers. Well, there are no rangers available. Try 0, they've already been placed. Place cubes, and it will tell me where to place cubes, and then it will continue from there. So that's the first instruction, place cubes. So moving down here to the actual train option. Let's just zoom in on that a bit. Okay. Purpose, augment ARVN forces and support. Location, city or provinces without NVA control. There's no NVA control on any of the provinces at the present moment. Cost is 3 resources per space where ARVN placed. Procedure, if city or US ARVN base, place 1 to 2 rangers or up to 6 ARVN cubes. So it's got to be a city or a US ARVN base. I can't just plonk them in anywhere. It can be here, can't be here, but it can be here because that's a city. Can't be here, but it can be here because it's a US base. So we've got to limit down where they will place them. And that's where, going back on that card, it uses, again, note it's in bold, place cubes. So I'll be up this chart and table, by the way, following the place cubes instructions. So following either place cubes or ranges. That column there. And then it gets asked the questions. So the first question, where these bullet points are, city or province in South Vietnam without coin control. Okay, now we know from the actual instructions on the player card, it can only be a city or US or ARVN base without, and follow there, any of those without coin control. You know, all the cities have got coin control. Yep. Places where there's a US base, that's coin control, and Saigon. So none of those apply. Place with the most population. Most population is Saigon. So it looks like we're going to be placing troops in Saigon. Most pop. Okay. So on that, place cubes. One of those in there in Saigon. And we can place up to 6. If city or ARVN base, place 1 or 2 rangers, or up to 6 ARVN cubes. Right, so what type of ARVN cubes? The type of cubes to be brought in is determined by this piece's priority. Right, so look, it says cubes, so US, NV, A or ARVN, and it says alternate police first, then troops. And they will always go to the maximum. So they can place 6 cubes in Saigon, starting with police and alternating. So 1, and then an army, then police, then an army, then police, and an army. That's their 6. Going back on that, because I enroll on that number there to see if they place any more. So they need to roll 4, 5, or 6. They don't. And because they placed in a province, that costs them 3 resources. 1, 2, minus 3. Continuing with the instructions there. If desired, in one train space, replace 3 ARVN cubes with an ARVN base, or if ARVN troops, police, and coin control, pacify 1 to 2 levels. So that's the instructions you can normally get under train. Let's see what it says under this here. So we've done place. So place 1 base in a 2-pop province with no coin base, losing no coin control. Saigon's not a province, it's a city. So 2-pop province with no coin base, losing no coin control. Okay, so to place a base, you've got to replace 3 ARVN cubes in a province. I don't think any such place existed. At the present, no. The answer is no. They won't be placing the base. If no base is placed, shift to passive support for a maximum of 1d3. Okay, so they won't shift to active support. They'll only shift to a maximum of passive support. 1d3. So how many spaces? So let's see. d3. So up to rolling a 3, so in up to 2 spaces. To shift to support, you need troops and police. Is there an area where you've got troops, police that's not already at passive support? Now, can they do it with US troops? That is a good question. No, quite clearly says ARVN troops and police. ARVN troops. There's a troop here, but no. Well, there is. Hoi has got troops, police, and coin control. Okay, so that would definitely be one. Just towards support. And that costs them 3 resources. I don't think there is anywhere else. These are already at passive support. And they won't take it to active support because they'll be helping me too much. So, no. Even though there was the option to do 2 spaces, they could only do 1. So that concludes the train. We now move to this select 1 special activity. So look at A first. If they can't do A, then they'll try B. So govern in up to 2 spaces to add +2 patronage using govern or 0A. Right, so let's see what govern means. Go back here. Govern. Obtain aid or patronage. Accompanying op, train or patrol. Yes, train patrol. Remember, patronage is one of the ways, or they accumulate victory points. Location, 1 or 2 coin control spaces with support and not Saigon, nor selected for training. So they can't do it in Saigon, or Saigon was the only place that was selected for training. So 1 or 2 coin control spaces with support and not Saigon. Okay. Per procedure, each space add 3 times pop to aid, or if more ARVN cubes than US cubes, transfer 1 times pop from aid to patronage and shift 1 level towards neutral. Yes, if they do this, the people don't like it because it's the government skimming off the top and putting it into their own back pockets. So we're going to find out which spaces they will do. And looking at this card, governing up to 2 spaces, add +2 patronage using govern. So again, that word is highlighted. So I will find out which spaces this will occur in. Using the spaces selection, and there's the govern. Go to the first places with the most population. Right, most population, and it's got to have the restrictions on here. Coin controlled with support and not Saigon. Coin controlled with support. So we're looking at most population. So we're looking here. Anywhere else with coin controlled and support. Coin controlled and support. And most population, that's actually only got 1 pop. It won't be there. No. could be here. Coin control, it's got to have support. Hoi. Could be Hoi. 2 pop. Got support. Look at the option again. So govern, most pop. So those 2 areas with 2. Most total support. Okay, so well, those 2 areas there both got passive support and they're coin controlled. It said 1 or 2 areas going in up to 2 spaces. So add 2 plus patronage using govern. 2 plus patronage. Or if more ARVN cubes than US cubes, transfer 1 pop. So there's more. Is there more ARVN cubes than US cubes here? No. But there definitely is up here. There's no US cubes at all. So we've got no US forces making sure that no one's skimming off the top. So transfer 1 times pop from aid to patronage. Transfer 1 times pop from aid to patronage. So pop is 2. So that drops by 2. And patronage goes up by 2. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Trying to help these boys. And, no. And shift 1 level towards neutral. People didn't like that. Just towards support. No, towards opposition. Yeah. So they can't do it in there. And not Saigon also. So is there anywhere else they could do it? So it can't be Saigon. Okay, so going back on it, 1 space. Most total support. Select randomly. Okay. So any of these other cities which have got passive support, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 options for the other one because there's no US troops or advisors around. So how to determine which one of those? Now I could assign each of them a number, or there's the handy spaces chart in the core game. And what I do with that is I roll 2 dice in succession. The first dice is the 10s, the second one is the 1s. So we're looking at 41. So I'll start in space 41. I'm not going to bring this up. 41, which is this space here. Can't do that. And there's a little arrow which points to Da Nang. No. Which then goes down to this province here. No. Then this province. No. And then into here, Quantum. No. It then goes across into here, Fishhook, into Manhoa, and then finally into Quran. That's the first place that it can be applied to. So that's where they'll do patronage. So again, they get 2 times pop. Each space adds 3 pops to it, or if more ARVN cubes than US cubes, transfer 1 times pop from aid to patronage. Aid to patronage. So that goes down by 1. That goes up by 1. Okay, and that drops. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Right. The other thing, because I did a train, this leaders affect general pledges democracy. Each ARVN train operation does add 5 bonus aid. We do at least get something from that. 5 aid takes that back up to 7. That's the wrong counter. Aid's at 13 plus 5 goes to 18. At least the leader's trying to do the right thing, but his underlings, they're pocketing it, which the population do not like. And that is the end of the govern. Going back on that card. 0 add aid using govern. We did it, that one. Applied, so that's what we got. And that's it, that's the end of that card. So we hit end faction play. At that point, we hit end card play. Okay. And draw new card. Draw card. All right. Well, let's push on. Let's push on. Let's get 2 cards placed in this episode. So we're over to the VC. I get first options on this Agent Orange card. So looking at this table here, the first eligible is the current event is critical and effective. First option, we're looking at card 111. Card 111, I'll bring this table up. 111. The VC, it says critical. Okay. Is it effective? So we look at the lower part of this table. Is it effective? Let's zoom out a little bit on that. A shaded or non-dual use momentum event. Is it a momentum event? Industrial defoliation. On these cards, the non-shaded is not normally pro-coin, counterinsurgency forces, whereas the shaded is pro-insurgents, normally. Industrial defoliation. Shift each jungle and highland with insurgents 1 level towards active opposition. Shift each jungle and highland with insurgents. That could be nasty. So it's not that fun. Is it a VC operation, special activity or limb? No. Any capability or flip? No. Enemy pieces to outer play? No. Flips VC guerrillas underground. Shifts towards opposition? Yes. Just bring it up. This card will shift each jungle and highland with insurgent 1 level towards active opposition. So let's see if there are any spaces that will shift to active opposition. At the present moment, jungle or highland spaces. Well, that would go. That would go. Shift each jungle with insurgents. That's a highland. That would go towards that. So I think the answer to the question is yes. Back on. So it is an effective card because it will shift quite a few to opposition. So going back on that, current event is critical and effective. They play the event. Boom. Right. That is a nasty card. Shift each jungle and highland with insurgents. Each jungle and highland. One space towards active opposition. Wow. So that's going to be those two. Jungle, they're already there. No insurgents. There is insurgents, so that will just towards opposition. This one here towards opposition. No insurgents. There are insurgents. Woo! That was quite heavy on VP for me and quite good for them. They've gone up to 29. I've dropped to 35. I'm a long way away. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. That was a good event for them. Okay, so that ends faction play. We now go on to the NVA. What are they going to do? Going back to this table. So they're the second eligible. Active faction will be first eligible in upcoming critical event. They will be first, but is it critical? Card 44. Oh, no, it's not for them. It's a little dash. So they couldn't give a monkey about card 44. So active will be first eligible on upcoming critical event. No, so that's first eligible chose opponent. No, they didn't. And event is performed or critical. No. Not to the event. What have we done? Will be first eligible on upcoming card. Yes, they will be. They pass. Interesting, they pass. Will be first eligible on upcoming card. No matter what the restrictions, they pass. So in a full game, you know, a proper game where I'm playing opponents, they would actually gain a resource. We don't track their resources, so under the hood, they are. So that card is actually finished. In faction, in card play, draw card. Interesting. Okay, I think we'll pause at that point. If you enjoyed what you're watching, please hit the like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Any comments, anything I've missed, please point out. Come and watch the next episode. All the best. Bye.